Welcome to another WWE discussion video. Today we'll be discussing the match that took place at WrestleMania 28 between the Game Triple H and the Phenom, The Undertaker, with the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. Now, we were watching that match just a couple of minutes ago before recording this video, just so I get a refresher on the match. Did the match live up to the hype?
I would say yeah, but
Yeah, I would.
the main question I have is, why did they state it's an end of an era match when... What era was it ending?
Well, I think they tried to market off that it was ending the Attitude Era. But realistically, I think the WrestleMania 19 match between The Rock and Austin was the end of an era.
Yeah.
But obviously they didn't market it like that, because they thought, obviously, that The Rock was going to stay around a bit longer, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, even though he had to go to Hollywood and, you know, do his own thing.
Yeah, but...
But I think they expected Austin to stay there, but, you know, he got...
I think they tried to build a lot of hype around this match just by saying it's an end of an era. That's my...
I think it was just more marketing terms.
Yeah, just to get people in.
But, no, I'm not going to just judge the match by that.
Yeah, but saying that, the match was really good. It let alone if it didn't have the marketing behind it, like we were saying.
Yeah, but it's got the star power of Triple H, Undertaker, and the referee Shawn Michaels, you know.
Yeah.
But let's get straight into the match. So the match starts. We're not going to do a rundown of the entire match. You know, we'll pick our favorite moments of the match. Right. So we begin the match. Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels all enter to the usual entrances. With Triple H obviously having the weird little castle in the background.
Yeah, that
shaped like a skeleton. But anyway, that's not the point. So the match begins. Well, the match doesn't really begin. The cell comes down, playing Metallica, The Memories Remain. It's a pretty good scene. You have Undertaker revealing that he's made himself cut himself a nice mohawk.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't like the mohawk. You know, Undertaker
I like
Undertaker can do whatever he wants. It's his hair, you know.
I like it, personally.
Yeah,
I like it.
Right, so the matchup, before commencing, it has all this build, this tension between the two. They're staring at each other. Shawn Michaels in the center of it. The match itself is a good match. It tells a good story during the match, and I think that's what a lot of matches like. And during like a lot of WrestleMania matches now, I think the Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus Orton did tell a pretty good story.
Pretty good story, yeah.
But we're not talking about that match. We'll probably talk about that match in another video. Right. So mostly throughout the match, the reason I enjoyed the match so much is not just because it was brutal with the cheers. Obviously, there was going to be no cell, going through the cell and stuff like that. You know, it's a PG era, but they did the best of what they could use. And I think, personally, do you want to go?
Yeah, if we're talking about like favourite moments as well, I don't know whether we were going to get into this, but I think that close call that they did with the Shawn Michaels close call.
The Shawn Michaels close call, super kick pedigree.
Yeah, I think
really good.
I think at the time you thought.
Yeah, you thought maybe this could be the end, but then obviously when Undertaker kicks out, you know, this signifies we're going to keep going until.
Because I thought it was a free when I didn't watch it live, but when I watched it on DVD, I thought, oh my god, is the streak ended just on this DVD, but. It wasn't, because it was so close to a free.
It was a good match, though, and the brutality in the match with the chair, and the chair was the most used weapon during the match. That was obvious, because the chair and the kendo stick, for some reason these days, the kendo stick is more used than the chair for some reason. I don't know why. I did like the kendo stick, but then it's just overused, you know.
It's overused.
But what are you gonna do? Anyway, the match commences. There's chair shots. There's hitting each other's heads on steel steps. It's good. It's great. The commentators are really into it, especially JR and King. Michael Cole is into it as well. I'm not going to single out Michael Cole. But JR and King were the guys who were there for the Attitude Era. So this match meant a lot to them. Yeah. So far as, obviously, WWE were marketing it as the end of an era. During the match, there's a lot of great moves. There's a lot of great moments. And I think the thing that made the match just as memorable as just Triple H and Undertaker was Shawn Michaels, his reactions throughout the match. Yeah. Shawn Michaels just put it all out there then. He was crying during one point. You know, he was smashing against the ropes. He couldn't believe that Undertaker kicked out. It was a good match. It could be considered a great WrestleMania match. I'm not sure about one of the best of all time.
No.
Because it was a good match. It was a really good match. I'm not saying that it was a terrible match. Not by any means necessary. it wasn't a bad match. It was a good match. It was a great match. Hell, it could have been one of the match of the years. At that point, not at that point. At that point, yeah. It was early 2012, and obviously we had some great matches between, Jericho and Punk on the same night, which I think should have been the main event. So.
Yeah.
I like Cena, I know, but I will admit, he should have never got that main event at 28 against Rock. I know it was a bigger match than the Punk versus Jericho, but in honesty, Punk should have main evented that WrestleMania. He really should have, because Punk, I think, deserved to main event that WrestleMania against Jericho. But then again, Sheamus did win the Royal Rumble, and realistically speaking, the guy who wins the Rumble should main event. But obviously, that was an 18-second match. If they had booked it a different way, I think they should have had the main event. And I know there's not enough star power in either two of those matches to compare to Cena versus Rock. But that's for another time to talk about Cena versus Rock.
Right. I think the match did live up to the hype. The match
did live up to the hype.
But
I think it did live up to the hype.
Till this day, it's not my favourite street match.
It's not my favourite street match.
My favourite street match is probably one of the ones that everybody's always talking about.
Let's say
Shawn
Michaels versus Undertaker WrestleMania 25.
Still my favourite street match because it was. We actually watched that live.
There's a lot of storytelling during that match as well.
Yeah, I mean, you both watched that live together when we were. That was the one match that I think that woke us up.
I think because obviously in the United Kingdom and everywhere else, especially over here in the UK, the pay-per-views come on incredibly late, 1 a.m, stuff like that till 4, and you get tired. But that match, you couldn't even close your eyes to try and rest for a bit. It was just so much going on. But in orders to this match, I watched it live. Yeah. I didn't fall asleep during it because, as I said, a lot of close calls, a lot of crookedness by Shawn Michaels after the super kick.
I didn't watch it live, so
But it kept you awake. It kept you on your toes, waiting to see what happened next. Personally, I liked the match. I think it was a good match. What about you? Did you like the match?
Yeah, I like the match, but in my opinion, still not the best street match.
Not the best street match of all time. Definitely not the best street match of all time. Well, I could say definitely not. It's got to be in, I'd say at least, if we did a top 10, it is in there.
Yeah,
it has to be in the top 10. Because there's been some terrible ones, like against Giant Gonzalez, which is probably the single worst street match.
What about his first street match?
Against Jimmy Superfly. Well, I lasted under 5 minutes.
Yeah, so, I know. So I just.
Yeah, but originally back then the streak wasn't a big thing.
Yeah. But if you ask me, I know a lot of people could have a go at me for saying this. My view on Undertaker's early days facing against opponents like
Jimmy Snuka
back then, obviously it wasn't hyped enough. But if you watch them, it almost seems like the opponents are. They don't seem to get a lot of moves in there. It seems like there's just a few punches and then the finisher.
And then the match is over.
That's my problem with those older matches. That, they're just not fun to watch.
Yeah, the old street matches aren't as good as, say, I'd say when he reaches the Attitude Era, maybe a bit earlier than that. But, the first couple of street matches were, they were alright.
They were alright.
The Giant Gonzalez one, though, I wasn't a huge fan. I felt that was quite bad.
It
was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So finishing up this video, what did you think of The Undertaker's match against Triple H at WrestleMania 28 with Shawn Michaels as the ref? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Did you think it was the best WrestleMania match of all time? The best street match? The worst street match? Leave your comments below.